Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show today. I'm really glad you could join us. So today we're diving into a really cool topic that I think you're going to really enjoy because we talk a lot about building businesses here on the show and everything that's involved with coming up with a concept to building the business from scratch. But as you probably know, most businesses fail. So what happens to actually get ahead of the learning curve instead of going through that statistical black hole where you can fall into and build a business that doesn't succeed, or better yet, try to execute an idea that might not even get off the ground? I have a better alternative for you today. With us today is Jaryd Krause. Now, Jaryd used to be a plumber working 60 hours plus per week and hated it. Now, fast forward to today, he now owns multiple online businesses himself, and many of his clients earn tens of thousands of dollars per month from their businesses they bought working with Jaryd. Now, his Buying Online Businesses podcast is rated in the top 3 best passive income podcast online. And Jaryd runs the only buying and building online businesses community where there are 5, 6, and even 7-figure income earners who are buying, growing, and selling websites in the group with Jaryd's program, training, and help. So Jaryd, welcome to the show today.
Thanks so much, Ty. I really appreciate being here. And yeah, looking forward to ensuring everybody gets a bunch of value from our chat.
Yeah, well, it looks like you really helped cut the learning curve down because, and this is something I've been studying a lot, is that, you know what, it's so much easier in some cases to buy a business that's already got through that difficult time than even coming in and starting the business yourself. So it sounds like you've really found a niche in doing just that.
Yeah, sure thing. I mean, I went and started my own website businesses and I struggled and I found it really, really hard. And I had to keep going back to my old job as a plumber with my tail between my legs and thought, well, if I came across this stat or this quote that 90% of startups fail. And I thought, well, hang on a second. If 90% of startups fail, why don't I just go away and buy one that's past that 90% failure rate and skip the whole learning curve? And it's already running. It's making money every month. Why don't I just go away and buy it? I know how to operate a business. So, and it's, also when, even it was a business model that I didn't understand, when you buy one of these businesses, you develop into the contract of sale that you get a certain amount of training from the seller to teach you how to run it anyway. So, it's, skipping that learning curve is a real thing. And I'm a big advocate to it because a lot of people might go through that path where we all get shoved down our throats through social media every single day, that it's like, if you want to your dream lifestyle, you need to start your own online business or you start your own business. And some people may have the gusto and the energy to break through that 90% failure rate. And they may get up to 9 businesses that they started and fail. And then they give it up. And I just think that's terrible because people out there have goals and dreams and we all should be able to achieve what we want, but there's not one route for everyone.
Let's start from the beginning, I guess. When we talk about online businesses, because, I've had business brokers on before that talk about selling and buying a business. You're talking about an online business. What's the difference between what you're doing with an online business, or that's one maybe driven by websites, versus an offline business? Like, what's the main differentiator between those two?
The main differentiator is simply that, the writing's between the walls here. So it's purely online rather than offline. A brick and mortar business normally have, staff and a location and stock. Now, an online business, they can have stock, they can have online staff, they can have a location, but preferably not. And the difference is that the site owners can be anywhere in the world. So I can buy a site in America. I can buy a site in Australia. I could buy one in the UK or in Europe and run it and own it from wherever I want in the world, which is why, a lot of people love this model because it's purely online and they can have more of a lifestyle rather than going into a facility every single day. And it does make it different when you're doing due diligence, when you're going to buy it as well, because there's a lot more data and metrics that you can use that can be verified through analytics and things like that when you're going to buy it. So checking out and doing your due diligence is different.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because I just had a guest on a week ago, and this is what he does. He basically has a community for digital online entrepreneurs, right, that travel around the world and own their businesses. So this ties in and segues really perfectly for that. talk to me about your story. I mean, plumber, 60 hours a week. You look online, you're like, I don't know, 90% of businesses fail. Like, why not skip the learning curve and get one that's already successful? So then where did you go from there? What was the first business you jumped into?
Yeah, so there was a big route before that, right? Starting my own sites and struggling and failing. And then the first business that I got into was like a membership site where people would pay a monthly fee or an annual fee to get access to a list or a database of wholesalers or suppliers, which is what we call drop shippers. And because they want to start their own drop shipping store or site. And so they would pay a monthly fee to get access to all these suppliers so they didn't have to go out and research and find them themselves. So that was the first business I bought. And I like that business model because when you're buying a business that's a membership business model or a SaaS or something like that, you got recurring revenue. So the risk can be lower than some of the other online businesses that you buy. So you're buying yourself a database of people that are recurring and paying every single month, which is quite attractive, especially when you're a rookie and you're starting out. So that was the first business model that I bought. And then after about 7 or 8 months, I took some more of my cash and I went and bought a second business. And the second business was similar to a drop shipping method, but what it was is we're selling tailor-made suits and shirts and custom-made, blue collar type attire. And the business was online at a time, and then the owner took it offline took it online purely because they had a shop that just was too much expense, too much staff. It just wasn't working. It's costing them far too much money. So they brought it purely online, and the tailor was overseas in Thailand. And so the orders would get made in Thailand and sent out to the customers directly, not going through the actual, a medium, myself or the business. So I just changed a few things, the ordering process, eliminated some staff that didn't need jobs because I automated it all. And yeah, the profitability skyrocketed through that type of, exchange. When you're buying a business, similar to buying real estate, is that you can see that it may be run down. You can come in, renovate it and flip it, put it back on the market, or keep it and rent it out at a higher rental yield, or keep the business in your pocket and get a higher passive income or semi-passive income.
Now, usually when that happens, when somebody's buying a business, they're usually bringing their expertise into it, right? But you come from being, in the plumbing industry, right? And you're talking about tailored suits. So obviously very different. So
Yeah.
What are you looking for to find an online business that you can contribute value to? I mean, I have so many questions. We'll start there. I mean, how do you even know the right business to start looking at? My second question behind that is going to be, how do you start finding these businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question. So knowing what business is right for you is quite a common question, and it's quite hard to answer because there's no such better business for one particular person. Everybody's very, very different. So what I suggest people do is they learn the different business models, and then they see which business model may be best for them, and then see if they can find a niche or an industry within that type of that's using that type of business model that suits their personality. For example, if you like surfing, like I love surfing, right? If I love surfing, it'd be best for me to go away and buy a business within surfing. Now, the trick is that there's not hundreds of surfing businesses around or available for sale. In my time that I've been online, I've only seen a couple, and they haven't been very good business models or very good businesses to buy. So that's why when I first started, I lent on the business model that excited me the most. What mostly got me into this game was the excitement that I could make money online. And the better the business model, the more excitement and more passion I had towards the business. And then I could follow the niche, or I could learn more about the niche. With suits, I didn't need to learn too much. I just needed to know how the business model worked. And then I could hire content writers to write the content and keep the professionals doing what they do in their roles as well, with, designing the suits and the custom support and all that sort of stuff. Does that mean I didn't learn anything about suits? Of course not. I learned a bunch. Although, just like, Jeff Bezos that owns Amazon, right? He doesn't know how to do all of the roles. He doesn't know absolutely everything about Amazon down to the last T. He's the business owner. And when you can put the business owner hat on, you can operate the business, but you don't need to be a specialist in each sector, in each area.
When you talk about these different business models, what kind of models are there?
Yeah. So the first one that I talked about was the membership model, or SaaS model, software as a service is what that stands for, where people will pay a recurring fee or an annual fee for, a software, and that could be a tool. It could be like Ahrefs or SEMrush, or, it could be even like a membership site like Netflix, right? Where people pay a monthly fee. The more subscribers they have, the more money they make, right? And they just maintain by creating content, stuff like that. So that's a membership type model. Then you also got drop shipping, which is where people buy the product. People buy the product from the website for retail price. Say I'm selling basketballs. They may buy the basketball for $40. And then I go away and I order that basketball from the wholesaler supplier, which is what we call a drop shipper. And that may be $20. And then they chuck on shipping for that, which is $25. So I make a $15 profit margin, and that supplier sends that product out to the customer for me. So I don't need a warehouse. I don't need to have stock and all that sort of stuff. There's FBA business as well. FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon, where you can get a lot of your products made or designed, send them over to an Amazon warehouse or a fulfillment warehouse. You can do this with a different company called, third party logistics. So 3PL or a different warehouse where they can send this out to the customers for you. Though with Amazon, they put it on the Amazon, or you list it on the Amazon platform. And when one of those products gets sold, Amazon warehouse will then dispatch it to the customer for you. So they handle all that sort of stuff, which is quite cool. So they're the type of e-commerce sites that you can have. And then you got content websites where people will have valuable blogs or review sites that are reviewing different types of products. And they will push people to, after they've reviewed a certain product, they can push them to Amazon or different other sites where they buy those products and they make an affiliate commission, or they can have ads on their site as well. Normally a combination of both, which helps. So there are a few different types of business models.
Jaryd, of those, how do you figure out what ones are for sale?
So when you buy a property, right, or you're going to do some real estate investing, you go to a broker, a real estate broker. When you buy an online business, you go to a website broker. So there's different website brokers online, and you can just literally go to their website, click on the marketplace, and scroll through all the different types of website businesses for sale. And you can see how much that business is going to cost, what the monthly income is, what the monthly expenses are. It'll tell you what work is required to run the business and how many hours that may take to run the business as well. And then, some different sites will share with you different growth opportunities and different risks that may be involved with the business. So there's a lot of information just by going to the website brokers and looking at their website. And then normally you can enroll or subscribe to or ask for more information, which they'll give you a prospectus, and that'll give you basically all the information about the business you need to know, except for some of the other things that you want to go further into due diligence by having a seller call and stuff like that, which I suggest with what I'd help my community do is really break down and how to do the due diligence so they're not going to buy a lemon.
In your world, are you sticking to one model, or are you working within the handful of models?
No, a handful. Yeah. There's some people come to me and say, I want to buy this type of site or this type of site. So we've bought all different types of websites between us. Like I bought a different variety myself personally, but with the people, my clients and my community, we've all bought very different websites, which is quite cool. So I actually, a part of what they get is that I review every single due diligence that they do to make sure they're not going to buy a lemon, like I said before, and just get them to check double check things and look at this and check that and make sure we can look at different ways we can minimize our risk if we are going to buy this business and different growth opportunities. So through that, I've looked at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deals, and they're all very diverse. Like there's a lot of different type of business models, which is quite cool.
And it sounds super cool. For people like me that just love businesses, right? I mean, everybody tells me what they do, and I instantly want to go do what they do. I'm like, that sounds awesome. I want to go do that. So you
Yeah.
get to do like run a bunch of different businesses, doing a bunch of different things, which is cool. If you haven't narrowed down the model, then what are you looking for? Like when you go to a business, one of these broker websites where they're brokering websites or online businesses, what are you looking for then? If you're not narrowing it down to industry or model, I should say, then what are the things you're looking for to know it's something that you'd like to buy?
Oh, so if I'm looking to buy one, or if I teach my clients to buy one, I definitely do get them to narrow it down to 1 to 2 different business models for sure. So my apologies if I gave you the misconception or the audience that misconception. I definitely do get them to narrow it down to one sort of business model they do like, or maybe two, and then come across. I'd try not to let them get the niche or the industry get in the way, because sometimes people will say, well, I don't like that industry, or it's not really something that like revs my engine per such. But when I bought a site that was about suits, and I'm a plumber and I surf, like, suits don't rev my engine at all. But I like the business model. And what I did like about the business is, like, I could change it and I could get it more profitable. And that made me more interested and more passionate about the actual business. So yes, it's great to have a niche that you may love, but the reality is that that may not be available. That type of business may not be available for sale, which is why I do tell people to narrow it down to 1 to 2 business models, and then go to, as you search, you'll start to see ones that you just completely disregard, and then ones that you start to look in a little bit deeper. And when it starts to feel right, then you go for those types of businesses and do the deeper dive into due diligence.
So you come in, you get an idea of the model you want to do. In this case, membership sites. I like membership sites. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm going to go in, I'm going to find a website broker that's offering hundreds, if not thousands, of different options. And I start looking at these different sites that are pretty close or that type of model membership sites. And then look for something that just interests me. Something like, wow, that sounds cool. Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Look at the model, look at how they bring in money, look at the margins, look at it all. And I'm like, wow, this seems like something I think would be fun that I could enjoy. What's the next step? What step do you take from going, from looking into it? I imagine at that point you're looking at their actual website, you're looking at what's done, and then you said something very important. Then you start to think about what you could do to improve it. So if it's something you really like, then I imagine you start to have ideas of, man, if this was mine, I might do this and change this and add this and add this. Is that kind of the mental process so far? And then is the next step to take a deeper dive and contact the seller, or what?
Yeah, that is the mental process. The hard thing for me and my job is to keep people, solid, and to not like get their emotions, let their emotions get the best of them. Because it happens to me, and it happens to first time buyers, where they're like, oh, hang on, this business cost like $100,000 and it's making $30,000 a year, like net. And they're like, I have to buy it. Like, they're just so excited. And so my mission and my goal is to let people know that, like, hey, we need to first, like, calm the farm, and we need to work out if this business is a good investment. And normally the process will be like, let's do our deeper dive, let's do our due diligence. And through this, the goal is to prove that the business is a bad investment. And if we can't prove the business is a bad investment, we have to buy it. So I'm the sort of devil's advocate, where I go away and make sure that they check absolutely everything. What are all the risks? What's the worst case scenario that could happen if you bought this business? And how do we minimize that and remove it, so we don't let our emotions get the best of us, run into buy it, and just disregard all these things that we should have been looking at. So that's the important part, is the due diligence. And that's what I help people go through and check all these different things, highlight what risks may be involved, and move forwards from there.
And it's awesome that your clients have somebody like you to help through this process, because obviously everybody listening, watching, we're just looking at a 10,000 foot view, right? I mean, at a micro level, there's a million things Jaryd does that are details that we only have time to dive into today to make sure that it's a good investment. When you're spending $100,000, like his last example, it's a pretty big deal. But Jaryd, on the surface, what are some of these things on the due diligence that you're looking for?
Yeah, sure. We can run through them quite quick. Normally with the financials, you want to get the financials checked. They'll give you a P&L, right? And normally the P&L, profit and loss statement, is an Excel sheet, and it'll have a bunch of numbers in it. And so typically what people go is like, "Oh, cool, I got the P&L, I've checked those, the numbers look good." The reality is you need to get viewers access of their merchant account or, their bank account, and make sure, everything correlates and connects up with the profit and loss statement. Nothing's missing. Double checking, if all the expenses are there, all the income is there, everything like that as well. So checking the financials is a big part of it. And then you've got SEO due diligence. You want to check out, SEO stands for search engine optimization. And you want to check out if there's been any algorithm updates or hits or changes where the website's traffic has dived. And you want to see, if the traffic's trending up, down, sideways, and why. And asking that why question is very important, because then you get to dive deeper into understanding like what's happened to the traffic to cause it to scale up, if it has scaled up, which is really good, because you want that you want to know that information so you can use that with you as a new business owner to scale up the site. If it's trending down, why? And how can you remove that risk so it doesn't keep trending down? And, that's the traffic and the SEO check, checking the backlinks, checking there's no spammy contents, checking that there's nothing bad about the website that is going to cause it to get deranked on Google or have penalties. So that's the important part. Checking out the marketing as well. It's a pretty similar to the traffic. Is you want to see what's working with the marketing, what's not working, and asking why. Is there different campaigns that are working? How much are they spending on the marketing? Who's doing the marketing? Are they going to continue doing the marketing when you take over the new business, or will you have to do it yourself? That can be a huge issue as well, where sometimes people don't have a marketing background and the business may be an e-commerce site and their business is very reliant on the marketing. That's what's bringing in the sales. So I tell them, look, you need to be prepared to either learn a bunch of marketing, which is very possible. I've taught myself and so many other people have, or you need to get somebody in to do that as well. So we've got traffic, SEO and traffic and marketing. And then we need to have the seller call. We need to jump on the phone and actually have a good call with the seller and have a bunch of questions to ask them. And by doing this, you get to get a better feel of the business, who actually owned the business, how they ran it, how they operated it, and, if it's the kind of the right deal for you. That seller call is so valuable. It's really important to do that. It's quite scary for a lot of people because they perceive that they're talking to some big business owner that owns a business and they know more than them and they're better than them. That was definitely my perception when I first started. But when we get past that mindset blockage that we have and we do our first call, it just opens your eyes and your whole world to the buying an online business space. And it gets you even more excited. So they're the main things that we need to do. And then there's other little intricate things as well that we need to cross-check and stuff like that.
What kind of red flags do you see that are, red flags? You should not proceed.
Yeah, red flags is a good one. I want to just highlight red flags here is that sometimes people see a red flag and they have a perception of like, it's a red flag, run away. I see a red flag as something that we need to go away and dig deeper into, understand that red flag, because yes, it could be a risk, but if we could understand that red flag and remove that risk, that's what we call a problem, which is an opportunity in disguise. So sometimes it's not worth running away from that red flag. It's usually we should go away and check out more about that red flag and actually understand it. So those red flags are like Google algorithm updates where the site's traffic could be affected. Those other red flags are like you've got one channel of traffic and it could all be coming from Google, or it could all be coming from Google search organic, or it could all be coming from Google paid ads, or it could all be coming from Facebook. And if that source of traffic gets knocked, then you're going to lose a lot of revenue because you've only got one source of traffic. You don't have multiple streams of traffic coming to it. So we need to work out how we can minimize that risk as well. Also, being one source dependent could be with different suppliers. Like you could have just one main supplier. What happens if that business goes bankrupt? You lose all your products as a drop shipper. So there's a couple of red flags that you need to check, like PBNs, which is called a private blog network. It may be a bit too technical and advanced for this conversation, but you want to make sure there's no sort of spammy things going on that you have no control of as a business owner, which is red flags. And then, in financials, looking at things like other expenses that just don't make sense, checking out and diving deeper into that. So there's some red flags that you'd want to be checking on.
Where do people screw this up? Like, what are some mistakes that I'm sure by the time people come to you, they've already made some of them have made some mistakes. What are the most common mistakes that you see people make when they try to jump into this?
I'll give you an example of a message that I got yesterday. Somebody who did just join my community, and hopefully he did this previous to joining my community, because he didn't tell me about it, but he sent me a message, said, Jaryd, I went and bought a website off Flipper, and I know you recommend not to buy a website off Flipper. And I was already scared halfway through this message. And then he said, I bought this site, and it's basically a content site, and it has an account as a Google AdSense account. And that account, basically, if you've got a Google AdSense account, allows you to put ads on your site and make money from the ads on your site. And anyway, he bought the site, and he wasn't able to keep the old AdSense account, and so he basically bought the site and then had to start his own AdSense account. But that AdSense account was not approved by Google. So his whole revenue he just lost his whole revenue there, because he can't put ads on his site right now because he doesn't have an approved account. Whereas you can minimize that risk by saying, hey, I want to buy this business. I'll put a deposit down on, or let's put a contract in place, or I pay the rest of the money once my AdSense account is approved. So you can minimize your risk and completely remove that and not have to buy something where you can't earn a revenue stream. And I don't think this is a big site with a lot of revenue, although there's different things that you can do. So that was definitely a mistake. There are some other mistakes where people, forget to check things they forget to do the verification of the financials, or do a screen share with people, and there may be some numbers missing, or they don't see the whole story or the whole picture. Some things that people forget to check or don't like to check because it can get quite technical and frustrating is the SEO and checking out the traffic's going to be stable and good. Some big mistakes that people forget is that, like I said before, is the marketing, that they see, oh, okay, this business is making all this money, but they see it's making all this money, but they don't see that there's some work that needs to be put into marketing for it to be able to work. And they may not have a marketing background, and they may not actually want to learn marketing. So it's a big no-no. There's a difference if they do want to learn marketing, which is great. If they don't, then that's just a no-go. And that's a mistake that people make, is they tend to see, like, they have this vision of what it's going to be like owning the business. And it's quite easy. And I understand it and sympathize for it, because I put myself in their shoes and go, oh, I'm going to buy $100,000 site and I'm going to make 30 grand. And I only need to do 3 to 4 hours of work a week, or 2 to 3 hours of work a week, when that's what we're being sold. But the reality is that when we do buy the business, there's some things, extra things that might take a little bit more time, or we may not have the knowledge yet. As soon as we buy it, may take a couple of months for us to get really good at it. And they're the mistakes that people surpass and forget about.
When you come down and you find the business looks good, you contact the seller, you do some due diligence. What about money exchange? Are people paying their own cash out of pocket to buy these businesses? Are they using the business's revenue itself to get financing? I mean, how does that look? How do you get the cash you need to acquire the business?
Yeah, financing in this space is tough. It's getting there slowly. And I do send people to you guys for finance, but there's different structures. Let's talk about the structures first and how you can buy business. I first started buying my businesses with just cash. There was basically zero lending options available unless you were getting personal loans and stuff like that. So the structure that I like to teach people to buy is that, yes, you should have most of it in cash. And I like to call the earnout structure the best one, personally. And what an earnout structure is that when you go to buy the business, you say, hey, I want to put pay for most of the business as a down payment. And it could be anywhere from 60 to 90% as a down payment, and do an earnout where I pay the rest of the money back over a duration of time. And that duration of time could be 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. And that would be, obviously the seller wants a shorter period, the buyer wants a longer period. And that's an earn-out where you buy the business for the amount that they want it for, but you make you paid in installments and repayments. Now, to add to that, there is a different structure where the seller or the owner may not go for that, and you can go one up and you could go for a thing that we call seller financing. Seller financing is pretty much exactly the same as an earn-out. However, with each repayment that you make, you pay a little bit of interest as well. So the seller or the owner will make a little bit more money. And then you do have different options where they can hold a seller note for you, like until a certain train period's done. Like they'll allow you to delay a payment or something like that. And you can have different tiered structure prices where based on business performance, if the performance of the business drops below this percentage of net revenue per month, then you pay a little bit less on that installment. Or if it goes a little bit higher, you pay a little bit higher. So you can mitigate your risk that way. It starts to get quite technical, as you can see, in breaking down different types of structures. Though those types of structures that do get more technical normally come with the bigger businesses that you buy. I'm talking, $1 million plus, $500,000 plus for those types of businesses. In terms of finance, most of the businesses that are bought are being paid for cash, and that could be purely from the buyer or their cash, or people do pool their funds together and they do buy businesses together. Part of a big thing that I'm starting to do is that a lot of people coming to me and saying, hey, I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in their cash, but I do want to buy a business. Can you buy one for me, an operator or whatnot? So like I'm in the process of setting up a fund. I should have done this years ago, but I wanted to make sure that I, did just jump the gun, and I want to make sure I had the solid knowledge in the background to actually give justice and service to those who do invest with us. So now we're at the stage where we're getting the wheels in motion, and there are other places that you can go away and invest in different funds as well. So that's an option. But if you do want to do your own financing, I suggest just going to you guys, right? Like, you guys are great at what you do. I've spoken to Stefan Weibel many times. He's done a training into my community. Actually, his podcast was one of the most popular podcasts that I've done on my podcast. And he said he made a big mistake when he came on the podcast. He gave out his email, and he just got bombarded by doing so. So yeah, everybody listening is like, I love what you guys do, and go away and see what options that you guys have for giving finance.
I love that. And I appreciate you saying that. And it's interesting because, as I look, and I found one of these marketplaces, and because I love business, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, right? So
yeah,
when I see so many different businesses, and then I see small ones, I see really big ones. So what do you recommend? Like, when you're getting started, if you have the cash, do you go for the bigger one, or do you recommend, as you get your feet wet, you kind of go for a smaller one?
I like to tell people to play the middle ground, depending on where they're at. Like, it depends on, how much capital they have. I definitely tell people to not buy anything less than $10,000. If you're buying something less than $10,000, what you're doing is you're buying yourself a startup, and you need to spend a lot more time, effort, energy, and money to put into that for it to hopefully pass that 90% failure rate, and to hopefully give you turn into a proven track record and a proven system of earning income. So you still have that risk of buying something too small, where it's going to be too hard for you to really, get the wheels in motion. So then if you've got, say, all of your capital, say 150 grand or 200 grand, what I tell people to do is probably to start off with a business around the 50 to 70 or $80,000, and then, learn that business, grow it maybe over a year. You could flip it, or you could hold on to it. In that time frame, you're going to save double. You're going to save what you make from the business and from your job if you're still working. And then you could pull some more cash together and buy a bigger one, or sell that one and then buy a bigger one. So that's what I suggest people doing. Normally it is better to go, like, it's like anything, like when you look at a tree, or a baby tree, when the storm comes, it's just going to topple over and just get ripped out of the ground. But when you buy something bigger, it's really hard to shake or knock that. So that's why I do tell people that, if you can go for something a bit bigger, it's got a better foundation, it's more solid, then you have more room for error and margin for error as a new business owner. And you have surplus cash where you're earning an income that you can put into consultants that can help you scale and grow as well. So it does make it a little bit easier because you've got leverage within the business.
What about tools, resources? What kind of tools are you using on a regular basis to evaluate businesses that you think our audience should know about?
Yeah, so SEM Rush is a good tool. Ahrefs is a good tool. This is where you can get a lot of analytics and do some SEO checks. And then you just got Google, Google Analytics as well, where you can get access to the business's metrics as well. So you just give them your email and they can add you to the analytics account and you can check that out. And then, things like this Zoom that we're using, you can have conversations with the seller. You can record the calls so you can remember what they said and everything about the business as well. Screen share with, what they are doing in the business and stuff like that. So they're the main tools that I tell people to use. And there's free tools as well that, actually I've got a due diligence framework that I give away for free. If people want it, they can get it. And it's a bunch of different questions that you need to be asking through the due diligence. And then there's free tools with free tool resources in it as well. Things that you can check like site speed, backlinks, domain rankings and stuff like that for the site that you need to be checking throughout your due diligence anyway. So yeah, there's a bunch of different tools that you can just use for free instead of using the paid one.
You mentioned flipping a business. Is that a real thing too? I mean, do you have people in your group that's what they do, is they buy just for the purpose of flipping? And how's that work?
Yeah, for sure. It's very similar to, like I said, when you buy real estate, it's sort of run down. It could do a bit of work. It needs a bit of work. You can renovate it up and then put it back on the market and make a better margin. Ideally, what you want to do is, say you got a content website and it's got a bunch of content on there. You may want to buy this, strip off all the bad content that may be holding it back, get the backlink profile working really good. Make sure the traffic scales and grows. And when the traffic scales and grows, that means the affiliate commission is going to scale and grow and the ad revenue is going to scale and grow. And then you can put it back on the market. And when you grow that average net profit per month, or the monthly average net profit, then you can value the business a little bit higher and you can sell it for more. So, I know people that have been on my podcast that I've interviewed that have made, 40 grand in like 4 months from flipping a site. And they've just made some changes and then put it back on the market and sold it. So that's definitely a lucrative way to go. In my opinion, I personally like to invest for the long term. I like to follow a lot of what Warren Buffett teaches. And he goes and buys a wonderful business at a fair price rather than a fair business at a wonderful price. And that's what I like to practice and preach and teach and hold on to it and keep it stable and keep it growing and maintain it. Now, there are those people that want to just, they're fast and they like to get things done and make some quick cash. They can go away and do the flipping. It works. It's just not my cup of tea personally.
Right now I'm looking to buy Rats Make Me Happy.
You just found this?
Didn't even know there was such a thing. I mean, there is. So what about paperwork? How's that look? I mean, do you have attorneys and attorney that you recommend or to your group? I mean, does that usually get an attorney to finish the transaction? Because a lot of these I see are international, which I guess is two questions. Do you get an attorney to do the transaction for you? And do you recommend buying international or do you recommend buying domestic?
The attorney one is purely dependent on where people are living or where they're going to buy the business. So I don't have any one recommended attorney at all. When you buy something, I suggest, sub a couple of $100,000. Most people aren't using an attorney to check things and handle the whole litigation of it. Above that, then yes, it's worth having somebody in your corner and account and verify things for you and stuff like that. But I don't have anybody to recommend as per such. I suggest what people do is they go away and find a local attorney to where they actually are, or a local attorney to where the business is going to, be ran through. So such as a different state in America or wherever, or in different country or region in the world. So that's what I suggest people go away and do. The second part to that was, what was the
The
second
second
part of
part
that
is
question?
like, do you buy in your home country? Because like in the United States, if I buy a business here, things go awry, right? I can have the legal system. There's things I could possibly do to have a shot at getting some of my money back. But if I buy
Mm.
something in Australia, like where you are, I don't know if I have a chance, like the legal systems, if there's anything I could do. So do you buy in your home country, or is it okay to buy in other countries?
Yeah, I bought in my home country. I bought overseas in America as well, and so have my clients. So yeah, I think buy the business that suits you best, and then with where the business is located, it's online. You can up and remove that location. Like you can say, I'm going to set up a different company and put this business under that hood or umbrella and run it there or wherever I am. A lot of my clients that buy sites in the States that maybe living in Australia or living in a different country, I suggest they set it up in the States in, like Nevada or one of these states where there's no income tax. And it depends on the business model as well. There's a fair few variations and differences, which I'm sure you and everybody else listening could imagine. But, if they can set it up where there's, the least amount of tax they need to pay, the better.
Jaryd, tell me about your community. You obviously, there's a million things that go wrong in this whole process.
Mm.
So having Warren Buffett, I think, and you mentioned him earlier, says it best, where it's like, it's good to learn from your mistakes. It's better to learn from other people's mistakes, right? So you have a whole community and you've built a whole world around helping people do this process the right way. Tell me how that looks. How can people become part of your community to do this the right way so they don't get burned?
Yeah, sure. So most people start off by listening to my podcast, and that's where the juices start to get flowing and they get excited, and then they can jump on and, just onto my website, buyingonlinebusiness.com. There's a little tab that says community there, and they can click on it and they can learn what they actually get in the community, what values there. And so that's how they can get started and join the community. They can just sign up, it's a monthly fee, cancel whenever you ever want. There's no attachments or anything that you should be worried about there. Just cancel whenever you want. If you don't want to be in there, see you later. The community is really good because, like you said, you do learn from other people's mistakes. There's questions in there daily from different people about different things. I'm like, what should I do here with my business that I want to scale and grow it? Or what should I be checking here when I'm buying this business? And these little tidbits that people learn on a daily basis, they get stored in here. And when it comes time to them using that information, it's so valuable because they've already learned it. So in the community, we have obviously the group, the community, where a lot of things happen. Then we also have the program where people learn the whole program, the whole course. They go through the course. I refer people to that. I get people in to do different trainings monthly into the group, post into the group weekly with different things of value. And there's just, one of the big things, like I said before, is they get due diligence reviews from me. So once they've done their due diligence, I can go away and review it, make sure, give them the right feedback so they're not going to go away and buy a lemon. That's a really key piece because nobody wants to go away and buy a business without somebody in their corner. And here you've got a whole bunch of people, a whole community that's in your corner. And myself that's bought a bunch of businesses and looked at so many as well. So that's a really valuable piece. And then just, backwards and forwards coaching via text is quite valuable to them as well. And also so many things on how to grow the business that the community goes quite deep. So, yeah.
Where can everybody go to learn more?
Yeah, just go to my site, buyingonlinebusiness.com. Check out my podcast. That's where you can learn a bunch and see what else I've got available. There's heaps of free resources and stuff there. So that's where I suggest people check it out.
Cool. Jaryd, thanks for coming on today, man. This has been awesome. I mean, I'm like in a whole other world that will take the rest of my day as I look to buy Rats Make Me Happy here. So,
well, make sure you send me some information before you actually buy that, so we know it's not good.
Well, I've got to join.
I thoroughly
make sure you help me with the due diligence because this could go anyway. Who knows?
See, this is a cool thing. It's such an exciting space. The returns are really good. And I love that when we get into this space and we're new, we didn't even know this existed. It is fun and is exciting. I like to keep that energy there for sure, but just make sure we we eliminate some things that shouldn't be there. So yeah, thanks. I really appreciate being here as well. And I hope that works out as well. Like, keep me posted. If you need help, I'm always
I'll
here.
let you know. I mean, you taught me this, so I might even send you a free rat. We'll see what happens.
Perfect.
Everybody,
I'll put it over here.
Thanks for tuning in today. This has been really interesting, and we went longer than we typically do because this is a really good idea for a lot of you watching and listening. I mean, as Jaryd said, so many businesses fail the first year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, that in looking at these marketplaces that are out there, you know, you can get a business that's already past that threshold, that already has the consistency, that already is generating the money, where you're just maintaining the business, and the hours that you need to run it are significantly less than starting a business. I see so many people make that mistake. They try to start a business thinking it's going to save them time from working a job. And anybody that runs a business will tell you, typically in the beginning especially, it's considerably more time, energy, effort, and money than you anticipate, and typically considerably more time, energy, and money than working a regular job. And that's why I always say you've got to be really passionate about what you do. But this is a really, really cool way to shortcut that whole thing. All that work that goes to building the grunt work, the extra time, the late nights to build the business are already done, already behind you. And now you can kind of come into an already profitable and working business model, take over, and then follow that and take what you can do as an entrepreneur to make it better and increase the profits and a different perspective to the business that, you know, as Jaryd mentioned in a couple examples early on, a couple tweaks here, a couple tweaks there, and all of a sudden the margins increase and the profits are even larger. So many opportunities here, so much more to still learn. We're just scratching the surface on what there is to learn. So from here, go to buyingonlinebusiness.com. Buyingonlinebusiness.com. There's so many resources there. I was able just from the website to find a bunch of other cool things to jump into and learn a lot more information. Jaryd has a summit. He's got a podcast. He's got the biggest Facebook group in this space that teaches people how to do this. So that way you even have guides that can help you go through and do this the right way. So the first action step is going to buyingonlinebusiness.com. Buyingonlinebusiness.com. That'll kind of get you out the door. That'll kind of get your foot in the door, get you started down the space of buying your own business, online business. So go to buyingonlinebusiness.com. Thanks, everybody.
It's buying online businesses.
Businesses,
Sorry.
right?
Yeah, businesses. Okay. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay, because I have it miswritten, but then I'm on your website anyways, and I know it.
Okay.
So it is buyingonlinebusinesses.com, which, by the way, that is your actual company, right, Jaryd? Buying Online Businesses?
Correct.
Okay. Buyingonlinebusinesses.com. That's buying online businesses, plural.com. So make sure you check out buyingonlinebusinesses.com. I'm going to put this in the show resources page as well. I'll put a big flashing banner, so you could just click on that and make sure you get to the right spot. So make sure you visit buyingonlinebusinesses.com. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.